YouTube. And we should be live everywhere. So let's hit YouTube, go live. LinkedIn, go live. Facebook,
This is a cool
go
system.
live. So we should be good.
Sweet.
All right.
Let's see.
Awesome. Well, welcome to another week of Amazon News Live. Got my friend Danon on the call today. Danon, why don't you tell everybody real quick what you've been up to and what you've been doing?
Yeah. So, I think you already know the answer to that, but Chief Revenue Officer over at TraceFuse, and TraceFuse helps Amazon sellers remove negative product reviews. Yes, that is possible. Yes, it is fully compliant with Amazon's TOS, and just that and family. You know, so when it's the end of the day, it's the beginning of the night for me of like dinner and pajamas and showers and teeth brushing and like put one kid in the bed, put the next kid in the bed, you look in the other bed and that kid's gone and they run down the hall. So, just work and family, man.
For sure. Yeah, I know how that is now. We've got a 5-month-old, so I'm just getting
That's
into it.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
I don't
pretty
see any
exciting.
bags under your eyes. What's going on?
No, we've already got her sleeping pretty much through the night. So she
Oh my
sleeps 8 to 10
gosh.
hours every night, which is a blessing for sure.
You don't even know, brother. I've got 3 kids, right? So 3 daughters. Every single one of them was up uh call it 2 to 5 times a night until they were like 2.5, 3 years old. So
Oh,
that means that for the
ouch.
last 6 years, almost 7 years now, my wife has been waking up 2 plus times. And when they're baby babies, it was like 5 times. But anyhow, this isn't a podcast about entrepreneurship with as a new parent. Although that would probably be a pretty good podcast.
Yeah, for sure. It would be. And it looks like having some kind of problem with the LinkedIn live stream, but we are live over on YouTube and Facebook. So not sure
Okay.
what's going on there. It just says, oops, something went wrong.
Oh,
And reloading doesn't seem to do anything, but that's okay. But yeah, we are definitely extremely lucky with that. Danon, though, we've got your stream is a little blurry. You didn't happen to turn on high quality video, did you?
yes.
Yeah, if you turn that on, then it optimizes for back end recording instead of
Uh
streaming.
huh.
So if
Okay.
you want to turn that
Um,
off,
I don't seem to be able to make edits to my video feed. I see the settings, but they're all grayed out. I cannot change it.
oh, neither can I, probably because we hit record.
Ah,
So let's, I'm going to stop that.
okay. Oh, there we go.
And now you should
All
be able to
right.
turn it off.
720. There we go.
Got it?
Yep.
All right, cool. We're going to want you on 1080, but you want to turn off
Wait.
maximize recording quality on the left.
Oh, that's off.
That's off. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm back to 1080 and not 720.
Yep, 1080 is fine.
Okay, fine.
So we should be okay. It might be just a temporary glitch in the system. So let's go ahead and get started into the news here
Cool.
and
And
see how
just full
far we can get.
disclosure, yeah, full disclosure, I have no idea what we're going to be talking about. I was thrown into this, so if I look like a deer in the headlights, it's because I'm a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, it won't be too bad. We'll go over it here real quick. So this first one is basically on Amazon's quarterly reportings, which, there's a lot of numbers and stuff like that. But some of the key points in there was that in Q2, they actually missed their revenue targets. and they basically said that Q3 does not look very good for them to be able to hit their revenue targets. So they
Poor
essentially
Amazon.
barely missed just under $1 billion under their forecast. But I think what the key thing here is that their Amazon Web Services outperformed, but their advertising and e-commerce underperformed what they were expecting. Mostly, they're saying due to the economy and increased
Yeah.
competition from Temu and Shen. And I suppose probably TikTok we
Yep.
can throw in there as well. So,
Yep.
what are your thoughts on that, Dana? Do you think we're going to continue to see kind of a decline in Amazon e-commerce?
Well, so I would say initially, yes. We also know that Amazon is taking steps to offer basically factory direct from China and allow these Chinese factories to sell at lower prices. And I don't know if that's like a separate instance of Amazon, like Amazon Handmade used to be back in the day, but I, I welcome the competition to Amazon. And saying this as a 14 plus year now Amazon seller, I welcome the competition. That being said, the competition, unfortunately, is coming from companies that are selling low. I don't know if it's always. I don't have personal experience, but definitely low dollar items, factory direct from China. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see some companies that support American businesses, and I you and I know of one. If you
Yep.
want,
Rivley.
should I mention them?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Rivley's awesome.
Rivley. Yeah, Rivly, and I cannot like. First of all, Josh and Daniel are geniuses, I think, but I think this opens the door for them to really, really make it. But the short answer to that question is, yeah, I definitely think that Amazon, if Amazon's making moves to protect themselves from these guys, they made an impact a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. They really came onto the spot this year, maybe 2023. It kind
Yeah,
of started, but obviously they've been making some inroads for a while, and I think it has to do mostly with the economy. The
yeah,
politicians keep trying to talk about that. Everything's all well and good. We're just imagining but anyone with eyes, it's pretty obvious that a lot of people are struggling and they're looking for just cheap stuff that can
yeah.
get you through till tomorrow and hopefully till a better day.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing is that kind of lends into, in Kevin King's newsletter and John Elder's newsletter, um, they mentioned the cost of doing business on Amazon and how that has scaled up. Kevin King, I think, actually put that in his newsletter. I think he actually compiled a list,
Mm-hmm.
um, or maybe, well, whatever. It was in his newsletter, one of his newsletters. And so the cost of business for me to sell on Amazon, I pay Amazon 4 times as much as I did when I got started, and my prices are the same.
Yep. Oh, for sure. Ever since they implemented those new placement fees,
Mm-hmm.
the cost for me to ship a pound has essentially doubled.
Yeah.
Almost, anyways. I was shipping at about 24 cents a pound before that change, and
Mm-hmm.
now we're at about 44 cents per pound
Wow.
after that change. So those placement fees, well, it's not necessarily the placement fees, it's just the annoying multiple splits of shipments because they're just making you ship all over. So instead of sending pallets
Yeah.
plus a couple UPS shipments, we're sending a smaller pallet and a lot more UPS shipments all over the place.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I don't know how my wife is handling that with our inventory. I'm pretty sure she's still shipping to one facility.
So she's paying the placement fee per item then.
I suppose so. I'm reasonably certain that we're shipping to one facility.
Yeah.
So
So there's a
Probably.
setting now, which if you go into your Seller Central, into the settings, there's an option in there for the under FBA, I believe, to decide how many splits you get. So you can either get one
Uh,
split, uh, or no splits, I mean, minimal splits or normal. So no splits is going to send to one, but you're going to get charged like 40 some cents per unit. Minimal splits will usually do two different places you have to send stuff to, and then you're charged like 25 cents,
mm,
or four or more splits, and then you're charged nothing per unit, but you got to send to more places.
yeah.
So yeah, it's tough because we're going from 24 cents a pound to 44 cents a pound. So paying the extra fee, probably we're going to end up paying more if we paid the fee than just sending it to more locations.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Amazon does what they want, and we've known that forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how their Q3 results go, and especially Q4, because of
Yeah.
course everybody knows Q4 is the granddaddy of all quarters.
Yeah.
And I think unless there's some drastic changes, people are really going to be looking for deals a lot this holiday season.
Agreed.
And, it's really going to hurt anyone selling a little bit more of an expensive product or an easily knocked off product that can be
Yep.
sold direct from China.
Yep. Yep.
So, any thoughts on how people can combat that kind of to problems?
No.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I've long believed that building a brand is the best way to combat that. But there's always, I think that there are probably, if I just had to break it down into three segments, people only want a good deal. They're not looking for quality. People want a middling deal, but they want the quality with it. And people that are willing to pay full, like for the high quality stuff, right? I think there's three types of buyers there. And you're catering to one of those at a time, right? Um, Now, one thing that I did in the past is I would cater to all three, having the same, essentially the same product for all three of those buying categories. However, you know, you can have $1 million a month in velocity, and I had friends that did this. So I ended up only catering to the higher end, right? So I had a buddy that he was doing two and a half, 3 million a year in Amazon, and I was doing a fraction of that and making more money than him,
Yep.
netting more profit, right? And because my margin was like 60 some odd percent, 67% or something like that.
Yep.
And his was like 8, you know? And so I think that building a brand is the first way that you combat that. And then I always think go to the upper echelon of the sale price. As long as you can back that up with the quality of the product, that's where I prefer to sell.
Yep. I
Like
agree.
up until, let's see, over the last 6 years, I've not sold anything below I think below $40. My vitamins I think are 40 or $45. My blankets were 80 to 120. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be key for anybody based in the USA, at least.
Yeah.
Just because it's going to be so difficult to compete on against, people coming direct from China. As long as the loopholes remain for them to, number one, ship products in without having to pay any kind of tariffs or fees or anything, and being able to skirt all of the FDA rules and
Yeah.
FCC rules and all those three-letter agencies.
Yeah.
You know,
And
they don't care about them, and they're not being inspected for the most part.
yeah, and I don't have evidence of this, and I also haven't researched it, but I think that they get compensated on shipping. They have some sort of something in place, because how can you ship a $3 item across the ocean
Yep.
and make any profit at all? That's like, if we tried to do that, we'd pay $30, you know, to get it to China.
Yeah, I'm
So,
drawing a blank on the name of it, but there is China Post is the post office in China, and then they've got a certain type of mail that is basically subsidized by the
subsidized by the
government.
government. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's, a form of market manipulation as well, because we don't
Mhm.
have that necessarily. We have USPS, and they do have pretty good rates, but they're not nearly as subsidized as the Chinese government does with their postal
Yeah.
mail.
And also, we're not shipping something, like, we ship quite a distance across the United States for sure, but we have a network for that, right?
Yeah.
Now, but none of those include boats across an ocean, as far as I know, or airplanes across an ocean. You know?
Yeah, it'll cost me as much to send from Tampa to Miami as it does to send from Shanghai to Miami. So
Exactly.
it more probably double the
I
amount.
would, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's shooting for higher priced products. I think number one is definitely important, and differentiating yourself is important.
Yep.
But then also, like you said, building a brand and people who connect to that brand, you know,
Yeah.
and targeting the higher class, or higher, not necessarily higher class, but higher pay, higher income people is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That have the money to spend and want to pay for quality that's going to last. That's something you kind of learn throughout life. And, in the beginning, you're just buying all the cheap stuff. And then you're like, wow, this cheap stuff breaks all the time. So I want something that's
Exactly.
going to last me a little bit.
Yeah, usually the cheap stuff ends up costing you more, and it's the same with services as well. As an Amazon seller, if you go for services, you go for the cheap service, you can often, and I say cheap, not inexpensive,
Mm-hmm.
cheap, right? You go for the cheap service, you will end up paying more usually than having gone with the professional service, who can get the job done in a quarter the amount of time, and it ends up actually costing you less
Yep.
than paying for the cheap thing, having to fix it, and then ending up going after that more expensive service to fix it, and then plus the time involved, plus your own time and effort and aggravation and stuff like that. So I'm always like, of course, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a good service, but it's just like that with anything, you know. Then again, there's like the expensive stuff, like Land Rover. They're known to break and be expensive all the time. That's an anomaly, but
Yeah.
those exist too, you know.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that. Sometimes you get the ones that they just price themselves high because they know people will think that it's better.
Exactly.
But
Perceived
they don't tend to
value.
last very long.
Yeah.
Usually people learn that pretty quickly, and then they disappear and start something else where they can scam someone. But
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, you're just going to have to build a brand, sell higher priced products, and target people who have the money to spend it, essentially.
Yeah.
And
And
hope for better economic times to come.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a higher income bracket, but somebody, like, take rope climbing, for instance, rock climbing, not rope climbing, rock climbing.
Yes.
Some of those people, they just live for that. And so they don't make a lot of money, right? They work at REI or something like that, but they will spend tens of thousands of their hard earned dollars for the highest quality stuff because, number one, their life depends on it, right? And number two, they want the best.
Yep. And that's where
So
the brand comes in too, right?
that's
They're
where the
going to
brand comes in.
want
Correct.
the brand name that, everybody else is using or they know has a good reputation. I know I search for that kind of stuff when I'm shopping on Amazon. If I am looking for a charger or a battery pack or something like that, and Anchor comes
Anchor.
up, and even if they're $5-10 more expensive, I'm going to buy them because I know they have a good reputation, and they're going to back up their product. And if I don't know one of the brands, then a lot of times I'm clicking through to see where the seller is based as well.
Yeah, there you go.
What is that, a generator or?
Yeah, it's
Very good.
lithium battery.
Yeah, I'm sure I've got one of their battery packs around here. I know I've bought several of their things, but
yeah, Anchor's an awesome brand,
reputable brand, and I think there's a growing sentiment too of people wanting to buy from U.S. based companies at a minimum and U.S. made products if they're not too much more expensive.
Right. Yeah. Now, Anchor, by the way, the last time I checked, is a Chinese company, and what I just showed you there, that's Anchor Solix. So some kind of partnership. I'm not exactly sure what, but they actually sponsored me because I'm an off-road guy and I've got a whole group of off-roaders and stuff like that. So they sponsored me and gave that to me. But I met them at an event and it was their team from China. So, but no question, they're a phenomenal brand. They do high quality stuff, really nice stuff. And I'm okay with that because the general consensus out there is that Chinese made is Chinese crap, right? That's not necessarily true. They have phenomenal engineers. You and you've been there, haven't you?
Never been, no.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, prepare to be amazed if you decide to go out there. It's like, growing up, we saw all these videos of China and it's like rice fields and farmers and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, it's so beautiful there. Yeah. And then you go and they are these massive metropolitan cities that are extremely well put together. And so, it's definitely possible to get great brands out of there. And Anchor is one of those. And because I would buy them anytime, No,
100%. I mean, they can make really good stuff in China for sure. One of the key reasons though that I look for a US based seller, and I can almost guarantee Anchor has offices in the US, I'm sure.
They do.
But what I want to be sure of is that if something goes wrong with the product and their charger burns down my house, I have someone that is responsible. And if they're just in China selling direct from China, no presence in the United States at all, you have no way to hold them accountable at all.
Yeah. You want to hear a crazy story about that, actually?
Sure.
So when I was in China, I was there with a group and they had these branded battery packs. As a matter of fact, I still have mine, but one of them caught on fire in the middle of the night in the guy's hotel room. So, like, that's a perfect example, like quality control. Yeah. Like if you don't do quality control as an American business, like you can get into some serious trouble. But these other businesses that just don't care about that, they don't have to have such quality control. They'll let stuff slide because they're going to make their profit on it as soon as it ships, right?
Yeah, you got to be careful with it. And, I think the last several lives we kind of dug into something similar like this. So I don't want people to think that we don't like China or Chinese or something like that. It's just,
it's just a fact.
I don't like their government. I think the people are very good people, but they do have different business ideas over there. It's business rules, stealing IP and stuff is not considered in their culture something that is necessarily a negative like it is here. So it's a different culture. The
Yeah.
people are good, government not so much, and little disagreements on the way they run business.
Yeah. This is not, I don't say these things to slight them. I'm only basing what I'm saying on facts and personal experience.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we just it's a new world and we gotta live in it until either something changes politically or,
Yep.
whatever the case may be, wherever that
Yep.
goes. So just got to be prepared for it and know that it is happening. The economy goes up and down all the time, right? It's nothing new. We've had the longest bull run of in just about history, I think, since 2009 was the end of the last recession depression, and it's been a bull run since then. So it's a pretty long period. Usually every 7 to 10 years there's a downturn. So we're due for one, and we just gotta
I
ride
don't
it
want it.
through for a year or two while it goes down until it recovers again.
I don't want it. I want to stay bullish forever.
I think we could if we didn't have the government manipulating the economy already, but that's a whole
That's a different conversation.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and dive
Back
into
to
our
the
next
Amazon
topic
news.
here. Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. So
Yeah, that's a different podcast.
Let me share this one here. All right. So next story here, Amazon implements a new return policy for heavy and bulky items. So this is for seller fulfilled people who are fulfilling any items that are heavy and bulky that fit into that category. So in the past, Amazon, or you could require, I should say, people to drop off their products at a location like a UPS store or something to return them. But now Amazon is going to require seller fulfilled orders to be picked up at the person's home, which is going to be pretty difficult because, most people are able to negotiate pretty good the discounts through UPS and LTL and stuff like that from their warehouse. But doing that from a customer's house is not necessarily going to be the case. So it's something anybody doing seller fulfilled of heavy and bulk is really going to have to think about this. And I think this stems from the fact that the courts are basically starting to say that Amazon cannot prioritize FBA over FBM. There's been some lawsuits and stuff like that. And so Amazon is saying, all right, you want to play that game? Then we're going to force you seller fulfilled people to meet the same metrics that FBA does. And if you can't do it, too bad for you. Use FBA.
Yeah. How very Amazon like.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
This is going to affect an enormous segment of their sellers. Like everyone that are wholesalers, people that have, like I've got a client, they do copper wire as one of their products, right? Mm-hmm. Those are super heavy. They're like 40 pounds or something like that. And to have to be able to send UPS or whoever to the home address, like I can't imagine. I think they'd lose profit. They'd lose revenue on that return.
Yeah. It's going to be really tough unless you can negotiate with your logistics people, whoever they are, to get the same rate for returns as you do for outgoing.
Yeah, so this is an area that you have a lot more experience than I do. In fact, I have zero. So if you've done one of these, you've got infinitely more than me. But you are in the wholesale game, and I know you've got your own warehouse and stuff and such. But how will this affect you?
So we don't sell a lot of heavy and bulky items.
Okay.
We sell a handful But most of our stuff are small standard sizes, maybe oversized. So this isn't going to apply
Okay.
to those yet. I could see that coming.
Right. Yet. Yeah.
So in that case, I mean, if that started happening where instead of Amazon handling the returns for the seller fulfilled items, now I've got to do it. I don't know. I might just turn off the FBM listings and focus everything on FBA. I really only do the FBM as kind of a backup to the FBA anyways. It's not
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
primary.
Yeah.
Basically, if our FBA runs out, I want our FBM there as a backup if we have some in the warehouse that
Yeah. So
just
you
haven't
don't
gotten
lose
an
that sales
FBA yet.
velocity. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the
But
main thing that we do with it. And so if we start having to do more things with returns instead of Amazon handling it, I might just turn those off and just use FBA.
so essentially what's happening is Amazon is backing you into a corner, forcing you to use their system by way of fees, right?
Essentially. Yep.
And you're going to pay the fees no matter what. But if you want to pay slightly less fees, well, you better use our system.
Yep.
And so they're financially backing people into a corner.
Essentially, yeah. The government is coming after Amazon, and
Yeah.
instead of reforming and repenting, they're coming back and saying, "Okay, you want to do that? Well, here's this."
Yeah. This is the Trump versus China tariffs situation, and the only people that pay for it that are the people that are using it trying to drive economy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. It's a tough situation, and I can see what Amazon is trying to do with all the fees and everything. I get what they're trying to do, but it really kind of crushes the U.S. based businesses, especially. Well, anybody in like the U.S., Canada, UK, it's going to make it harder for them and easier for coming from countries like China, like we talked about,
Right.
because again, they don't really care necessarily about these rules and such because they can skirt them in different ways.
Yeah. As you can imagine, I speak to a lot of sellers every single day. And the general consensus based on the people that I speak to, and it's a wide swath of mostly almost exclusively private label sellers. They're all, not all. When the topic comes up, I think almost every one of them told me, "Yeah, I'm looking to diversify.
Yep.
I'm looking to go to Walmart. I'm looking to go to Target." I know I said this earlier, but I very, very firmly believe that Rivly is so perfectly positioned. I'm going to be referring like every one of my clients over to them, I should say I am.
I'd love to see them take off. And
me too.
I think we mentioned them, but did we say that they are U.S. based sellers only? On the e-commerce platform is what they're going to be.
Yeah, let's give them a little plug here. So Rivly.com, Rivly.com, is created by two Amazon sellers who saw the problems that sellers have with Amazon and decided to fix it. And so Rivly, number one, it's, I believe, still free to join, right? And it's a one-click integration with Amazon and I think Shopify, and if I'm not mistaken, they've just finished some of the larger inventory management systems where it's one-click integration, everything imports, and then you're off to the races, right?
Yeah, it's super easy.
Yeah, you've done it too, haven't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
It took us about 5 minutes to get everything connected and importing our products.
Yeah. And so it is only for US based businesses. Yep. So the purpose of Rivly is to help drive the economy inside the US rather than send the money out. Now, with that being said, if you manufacture in another country, that's okay. As long as you're a US business, the point is that the spend goes on Rivly and then you make that money rather than it going to somewhere in Europe, somewhere in China. I think Todd, back me up on this if I'm correct, but I believe that of the third-party sellers on Amazon at this stage, I believe that around 60% of them are Chinese sellers in China.
Yeah, that's the number that I've seen for sure.
Yeah. So that means that 60%. So third-party sellers makes up 60% of all sellers on Amazon. 60% of that are Chinese sellers. So safe to say that 30% of all sales that go on Amazon go out of this country and into China.
Yeah, I would say minimum 30% for sure. Probably more.
I'd say more, but you could probably give a very low estimate of that, right? Yep. So if we can kind of get a little bit more of that to stay in the U.S., that drives the U.S. economy.
Yep. Yeah, I would love to see someone like Rivly succeed and take some market share. We need more competition, just
agreed.
In general. So I would love to see Rivly because I know the Rivly guys. I know they're awesome.
Yeah.
But someone to step up and at least be like half the percentage of what Amazon is would be gigantic, because if you could legitimately say, okay, I'm no longer selling on Amazon, I'm just going to sell on Rivly or Walmart or whatever it is, and still make the income and the profit, that probably more profit than on Amazon, then you see Amazon step back and say, okay, we need to cut some fees and such. And a really good example, and I think you have it in one of the news articles, is the fees on clothing, because Temu is so huge. The fees in clothing went from, I believe, 17% down to 5%.
Yes. Yeah, so, cut by over 2/3.
Yeah, I mean, that's what competition does. So if we get more like that, ideally, I'd prefer to see it from a U.S.-based business or something like that. But just the competition, not only does it drive down prices for consumers, but it also drives down those fees for sellers.
Yeah. Man, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I think we will. One day we will.
It'll eventually happen. I mean, Microsoft was the dominant company of the world, 20 years ago. And now it's like Microsoft who, if you talk to somebody in Gen Z, they don't even know what Windows is probably half the time.
Yeah.
So it can change. And, before Google, I believe, Yahoo and like InfoSeek were the behemoths in search, and then Google came in and took over everything. So these changes.
And before that, it was Earthlink.
And before Microsoft, it was IBM ran the world.
That's right. IBM, Sun Computers.
Yeah. So it's easy to think that Amazon is gonna own everything for eternity, but things move fast in technology, and a company could come along like Rivly and they take advantage of AI and maybe other advancements in technology and explode, and you never know.
Yeah. I am. I'm heavily emotionally invested in their success.
Yeah, for sure. Same here. So I would definitely recommend people check it out.
Yep.
But let's jump on to another news article here before we get to the top of the hour.
Yep.
This next one is actually a change. So brand store update from John Aspinall was talking about this. And I'm actually going to click onto...
Mary Ruth is a client of ours.
Oh, yeah?
This is some really interesting...
So I'm just going to let this video run here so people can see it. But essentially what this is there's a new brand store page. So when he clicks onto the brand store here, this is what you're normally used to seeing, just kind of this page that's inside of Amazon. which
like a little mini website.
Yeah, which looks okay, but when he clicks onto mocktails here, you're going to see kind of a cool thing that happens. So you still got the Amazon banner, but now the whole page went full screen and it looks like a really nice web page, like you went over to the Mary Ruth's website.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure why they don't have it on all of their pages, and unfortunately, this is not available to everyone yet.
Yeah, I was going to say they're probably. So I think we all. Well, maybe we don't all know this, but those of us that have been in the SaaS world for Amazon sellers for a few years, they roll these out. So they typically bring a beta to some of their largest sellers, and then they slowly roll it out. So they did the same thing with A+ content, where that was only available to a few people, and then they slowly rolled it out to everyone, as long as you were brand registered.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty slick. I mean, I see that as trying to go after Shopify. I wish we could see the domain, up at the top. The domain.
It's still inside of Amazon. So this is inside the Amazon, but it just has a small Amazon bar at the top. Otherwise, the entire page is like a Mary Ruth's website. You've even got, look at a promo code at the top.
I know. So
scrolling down. So
what I want to see is this web page, is it a humongous string of a URL, or can you get like some little subdomain like maryruth.amazon.com to build this? Because if that's possible, then technically what you'll find is people will go, well, forget this. I'll just build my whole website on my Amazon subdomain and forget about Shopify, because you essentially have a fully customizable HTML website, which is what this looks like to me. So you can take a web developer and develop HTML on Amazon, effectively building your own website, but it's all on Amazon. So you don't have to worry about hosting. You don't have to worry about fulfillment. You don't have to worry about advertising on, I couldn't say that. You'd still advertise, but you may be able to then directly advertise to this domain as well on Google and stuff like that. And so Amazon, once again, gets all the traffic.
Yeah, and something that I just seen this morning actually as well is Amazon has now partnered with TikTok. And you can natively buy Amazon products inside of TikTok now.
Ooh, that's dangerous in a good way.
So the question that popped into my mind is Amazon going to be the one who's going to buy TikTok if they force the sale? Right. Because that legislation it passed Congress, Biden signed it. So that deadline is coming. So with that partnership, it's like, oh, I bet you Amazon is going to be buying TikTok.
You heard it here first, folks. It wouldn't surprise me, because Amazon's been trying to get in their own program, trying to get people to become influencers. And I don't think it's worked out as well as they had anticipated.
I think if they can acquire TikTok, I mean, that will be a game changer for Amazon.
Yeah.
Especially for the younger generations.
Right.
Because that's how they shop. They see something on social media and they buy it, essentially.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's going to be huge if Amazon does that. And then these store pages, making it look more like you're not on Amazon, like you said, maybe to compete more with Shopify and things like that as well.
I wish I was talking. Who was I talking to about this last night? I wish Shopify could aggregate all the Shopify store's products into its own platform. And
Yes.
who was I talking to? Darn it. I don't remember. But that would be awesome, because that is like truly brands.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's something that has crossed my mind as well. The main problem with that I can see is that there's going to be a select number of people that are not going to want that kind of thing to happen. You know, they have their Shopify store because they want to direct traffic to their Shopify store, build their audience, control everything. But I think it would be a major opportunity, yeah, if they created a shopping site and aggregated everything,
Yeah.
you know, but give people the option to opt out, or maybe have it an opt-in. I don't know. You probably need to do an opt-out just to get enough products in there. But I think it's an amazing opportunity for Shopify to do that.
I think so too. If they just kept it fair, you know, if they just kept it fair. Amazon used to be very fair. You know, I used to be able to call this girl in Arizona when I needed help, and we resolved problems on the phone call.
Yep.
You know, those days are so long gone. It's actually mind-boggling to me. The customer support from Amazon as a buyer is so good. It's really good. The customer support from Amazon as a seller is unbelievably atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
To the point, and I've said this privately a number of times, to the point where they now charge you for SaaS a dollar amount plus percentage of sales, if I remember correctly, for almost equally bad customer service in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of my clients, they've got SaaS. They emailed me last night saying, unless you say otherwise, I'm canceling these guys. Like this is useless.
What do you mean SaaS? What SaaS?
Oh, sorry. Strategic account services. So it's a paid service with a lot of people refer to it as SaaS Core. I don't know where the core comes from, but it's strategic account services.
Okay.
And
my first thought was software as a service. So
yeah, sorry. Yeah. So Amazon SaaS.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's basically paid for. You're paying Amazon a monthly fee for a dedicated rep, but the customer service from those reps, on average, of the people that I talk to, about somewhere between 75, 80%, if I had to put a number on it, are very unhappy with it, but continue to pay for it because it's good for like this one thing, or they did handle this case.
Yep.
But usually it's not worth it at all. Other than those instances where spending thousands and thousands of dollars, suddenly it's worth it because they were able to, seller support denied or declined this case. Then they bring it to their SaaS rep, and the rep goes and gets it fixed, and then it's resolved. It should have been resolved with seller support, because, I mean, I'm only assuming that Amazon named it support because they're supposed to support you, but I'll be damned if I get very good support from them.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think so. Instead of, the typical email, thank you for your email. I understand your issue. We're closing the case now. Have a good day.
Exactly.
Like,
I got that for, yeah, we got that for months. We put in case after case after case, and every single day that we put in a case, it would immediately be resolved with no response.
Yeah, it's super annoying.
Yeah.
It's that's why I don't do seller support cases really at all anymore, because I got to the point where I was just cursing and swearing at the people on the other end, and that doesn't help anything. So.
No, it doesn't. And the part of the problem, I think, is that a lot of people get so emotional in the cases that, by virtue of the emotion behind this, like the person on the other end does not seem, including Amazon as a whole, does not seem to understand or care that people feed their children by working on Amazon, because Amazon has provided what is truly a phenomenal platform to be able to do that. But these are people's lives at stake. Like during COVID, we were on a rocket ride on sales for our supplements, which have always done fairly well, and no notification, no performance issues, shut down all 4 of my Seller Central accounts. Mm-hmm. And it took me 4 months to get them back.
Ouch.
Like if I had to rely on that income, that would have bankrupted us.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely always a danger.
It is.
And relying on Amazon.
It is. Like, this is one of those situations where don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like, a lot of people put all the eggs in the Amazon basket.
Yep.
You know,
I still love selling on Amazon. I make a lot
Me too.
of money doing it, but
yeah,
my wife and I more and more have been talking about, what can we do that has nothing to do with Amazon? Buying a laundromat or
car wash,
or something that if Amazon gets shut down, we've got enough income coming in to keep us sustained for a while.
Yeah. And it's an unfortunate reality, but at least at this point, people can go into it with both eyes open. It's just part of the game.
Yeah. And, in some things have gotten a lot better. Seller support
definitely
really stinks. But the account health dashboard and them calling you proactively if issues pop up that could cause your account to go down, that
you get
better.
that?
I do. I get those calls. They get kind of annoying sometimes because they call for, like trademark violations and stuff, which we get like every single day sometimes.
You do wholesale, so.
But they actively call us pretty routinely. I'll get a call from Amazon, at least once a week, telling us about an issue. Are you looking at these issues? Yes, we've got our people already looking at them, etc. Oh, because you need to look at them in the dashboard. Yes, I know we're looking at them. Do you want to go and pull it up right now? I can. No, thank you. I really do appreciate it, but.
Yeah. Well, we rarely have any issues at all. So maybe, I guess it makes sense why I'm not getting called.
Yeah. I mean, that part has gotten better, and you typically get someone who has some idea of what's going on. Not always.
Yeah.
But they do proactively call you, and Amazon has said that, publicly that they will no longer just shut down your account for a majority of these issues without first reaching out to you to try to resolve it. So,
well, now there's a hell of a development because, Amazon is, I know them with my own account for them to shoot now and don't bother asking questions. Like, can't even tell you how many times we've had products or accounts suspended over the years where we're just like, what is the problem? And they won't actually tell you. They won't tell you what the problem is. They won't tell you how you need to resolve it, and they leave you to your own devices to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's good news.
That's part of the problem. A lot of times they'll proactively call you and tell you that this is the problem, and then you try to resolve it, and you get nonsensical replies. So eventually your account still goes down. If you don't get the good replies, but
I guess it's a step in the right direction.
You don't typically just wake up and your account's down. Usually something happened before that, and then the deadline comes and passes and your account goes down.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Well, that's a step in the right direction, at least.
Yeah.
Now, if we could just get good customer,
we'll see.
Yeah. If we could just get good customer support, then issues could be resolved quickly.
But that's where the increased competition needs to happen to force them to give better support. If they don't have to, why would they? It's kind of like government. Government support is usually pretty crappy because they don't have any
Right.
competition anyways. So
Yeah.
they don't necessarily have to improve.
Nor do they have any incentive to help people.
Yep, exactly.
So,
all right, Dan, this has been fantastic. If people want to connect with you and Trace Fuse, how can they do that?
yeah, so LinkedIn's the best way. Obviously, if they want to go to Trace Fuse, our website, we do have one. It's tracefuse.ai. That's TRACEFUSE.ai. And then for me, just search for Danon Coleman on LinkedIn. It's DANAN Coleman. And I should be one of not that many of them. So, and I look like this.
Yes.
So, yeah. Although I must say my photo is slightly nicer looking than I usually look like every day in life. That was before I had 3 children.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always funny when you're looking at somebody's photo on social media and then you get on a call and it's like,
that doesn't look anything like you. Yeah.
That looks like 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Mine was 6 years ago. It's not too bad, but I'll have to do another one pretty soon. I got a lot more white in my beard than I did then. That's for sure.
Mine as well that I use.
Yeah.
So I need to update mine also.
Yep. Well, cool. And
right.
Thanks,
Todd.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I love this. This was awesome. What a great way to get the news out. This is really, really cool. I love this format.
Absolutely.
Cool, buddy.